Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you didn't mind me playing that piece of music. It's actually all the music that you hear on my channel is music that I've done myself. And that piece is called Miriam's New Soul. And it's from, well, I wrote it when I was making the movie The Crimson Thread, which of course was very amateurish, but I did like the music myself. So that's a special song. It has to do with the resurrection and revelation, all those types of things. So anyway, I thought I'd play that for you instead of the normal battle song from that same movie. I'm Roy Potter, and this is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. It is March 10th, 2018. I want to welcome everyone. Just so you know, the chat is turned off so that we don't have a lot of interruptions during this part of the program. I will turn on the chat, when we're done with the information that we would like to get covered, without too much difficulty. So a lot of things have been happening. You notice the name of this this video is the mainstream media's Orgiasticism, and for some people believe that Saturday is the Sabbath, other people believe that Sunday is the Sabbath, and actually it's more complicated than that, and I will never try to explain it on YouTube because no one except for probably those who have studied it for many, many years will understand anything about it. That's not a slam against anybody. It's part of the process of deceiving the world. And so it's not your fault. It's just the way things are. But all of that will be set straight when the King returns. Okay. So at any rate, and along with that, to start off today, I decided that, and we're going to talk about this Orgiasticism, and you wonder what it means. Probably the first thing that comes to your mind, and you're right. And I'll explain why I called this that today, and talk about a few other things as well that maybe don't seem quite appropriate for if it is a Sabbath. But God's not a prude. Actually, quite the opposite. Quite a sense of humor too. So I'm sure that he won't mind the way I've approached this today, especially with the circumstances. After today, you will not have me for at least a week, maybe two. I might put some posts up where I type in, and you can read with a little music in the background, but I don't think I'm going to be much for talking or getting in front of a camera. As I explained on one of the last live streams, I swell up pretty bad after these kinds of things. Okay, I did want to start off by reading a scripture partially because of the Sabbath disagreement, and also because of the way so many people attack others for supposed blasphemies, be they against Jesus Christ, God, or just their brand of dogma or political ideology. And I mentioned this the other day. I think I was on Jesse Waltman's BP Earthwatch's radio program. As you all know, he and Steve Motley and I were on that program, redpillradiolive.com, and Jesse was very kind to invite me on. I want to thank him for doing that. I can get a little obnoxious, as he probably found out, but I think it went well for the most part. And I've always liked Jesse. I've always appreciated his work and everything he does. I have a great deal of respect for him, and it doesn't surprise me. All the shows on TV and etc. that I like, they always cancel. And of course, that happened to Jesse, where the NSA came down on him and YouTube and others, and those types of things happen to the good folks, and we all know that if we're paying attention. So at any rate, again, I want to thank Jesse for that. I think we're going to do more of it. Steve and I are really meshing well. And I expect that to continue in a lot of different ways. So we'll look forward to that in the future. Again, I want to thank both those gentlemen for having the courage to bring me onto their shows. Believe me, that takes some courage. It really does. Okay, so After that, I wanted to read this. It'll be real quick. It's just a few verses. It's in Matthew because of all this blasphemy talk and you're a deep state or you're deceivers. You're working for the Clintons or whatever. Or if you're Christian and somebody doesn't agree with your dogma, you automatically say that they're bad. They're going to hell. They can't be saved and all that. Man, I wouldn't put myself in God's seat like that if I were you. I don't care how you interpret the Scriptures. The Scripture is of no private interpretation, but everybody thinks that they can speak for it. Well, yeah, I do, to some extent, but I always make those caveats because I don't sit in God's judgment seat. Only He does. And furthermore, you look into the language itself, primarily the Hebrew, and as I've talked about many, many times, and Jesse pointed this out when we were talking about a scripture the other night, where he showed that the word deceit in Isaiah actually means delusion. I mean, they're pretty close in meaning, but the idea of delusion is even more direct, more expansive. And he's right. That's exactly right. And those are the types of things you can get when you look into the Hebrew, and even more because Hebrew can expand out into other meanings right from the very letters and words themselves. And I won't go into that, but that's how you interpret Scripture, not by your biases and your prejudices or your modern day euphemisms or understandings of the words or your misunderstanding of how the King James Version, for instance, came about. But at any rate, I diverge a little bit. Let me read this, because I brought it up the other night, and I just want everybody to hear this. So when you have a mind to attack somebody, like for me, I'm doing this broadcast today, and I call it Mainstream Medium's Orgiasticism. Oh my gosh! Oh, how horrible! On a day like today, why would you do something like that? Let me read this to you. This is in Matthew. It's chapter 12, and we're going to start off with verse 31. And let me read this to you. You can read the whole thing and you come away with a lot more information, but I'll read this real quick. This is Jesus talking, okay? Wherefore, I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy. Whoa! All manner of sin and blasphemy shall, not maybe, not perhaps, shall be forgiven unto men. But, I'm yelling, sorry. If this is too loud, would somebody call me and let me know? Or text me. You guys know who you are. But the blasphemy against the Holy Ghost shall not be forgiven unto men. And whosoever speaketh a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But whosoever speaketh against the Holy Ghost, it shall not be forgiven him, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. This is going to be telling me if I'm okay. Let me just check this real quick. Okay. I could go further, but I think I will go one more verse. Either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt, for the tree is known by his fruit. All manner of blasphemy forgiven unto man, except blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that blasphemy against the Holy Ghost is kind of low. It's a low level of judgment. In other words, well, I'll tell you what it is. Really, what it is you meet God face to face and you turn your back on Him. That's really what it is. A lot of people will say, well, I got saved and I felt the Spirit and all that. It's a knowledge. You are defying the knowledge of God. You no longer have faith that God is there or faith in God. You have a knowledge of that. That's what, because the Holy Spirit gives you that knowledge. Now, some people say, well, I know God exists because I feel good about it. The Spirit tells me. It still doesn't count. Blasphemy is very specific about what it is in the Old Testament. And it's using the name of God, the real name of God, or one of His other names that are holy, and God isn't it, G-O-D isn't it, to basically take advantage of somebody else. It's a type of fraud. It's very serious, and that's what it's about. It's not what most people think, but it just in general terms. Remember this scripture. All manner of blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men except blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. Okay. I wanted to get that out of the way so that, all those who are kind of aghast at this, at this topic today, Orgiasticism, will understand where I'm coming from. Now, I also wanted to make a little note real quick before I get into the meat of this. A couple of videos back, I did a video, and it was called Easier to Kill a Million People Than It Is to Control a Million People. And I didn't say during the video, nor did I put up on the title, who actually said that. I just wanted to see what would happen. And what I thought would happen did. A lot of people took offense to it, said that I was fear-mongering and all that. And do you know who said it? I put it up later. I showed who actually said it later. That quote is a direct quote, a portion of it, from globalist New World Order chieftain Zbigniew Brzezinski. Yes, Mika Brzezinski's father. That's who said it. So that'll probably give you a little different take on that it wasn't me fear-mongering. He's telling you what he's going to do. That's not me fear-mongering, okay? I don't fear-monger. I try to give out information. You can make up your own mind. I've done that with everything, right? I don't force it down your throat. I couldn't anyway. But I think you need to know. I think you need to know what you're up against. And if your opinion matters, well, so does mine, at least to me, okay? So, we often rush to judgment against people that we disagree with, be it religion, politics, or whatever. And as Steve Motley said the other day, you got to be careful how you judge others, because with that same judgment, you'll be judged. So just take heed, everyone. Okay, back to Orgiasticism. Why did I bring this up? Well, boy, if you're not paying attention, you probably won't get this, but it's been talked about before. Have you ever noticed how all of the mainstream media, all of them, always have the same talking points at the exact same time? Have you ever noticed that? A lot of commentators have talked about it. It comes from the CIA. It comes from Media Matters. It comes from Obama's community organizing deal there in D.C. and elsewhere. It comes from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Isn't it interesting that all these talking points come from those leftist Marxist organizations? Because the MSM is controlled by the intelligence community and by these leftist Marxist organizations. How did we get there? Because we didn't pay attention, because we didn't demand that our governments be governed by the supreme law of the land, the Constitution of the United States. Anyway, so what they do, of course, is one jumps. Let me tell you another little thing here, before, so you'll understand this metaphor. And I've talked about it before. In the Vatican, there's a big bowl. It's a big red bowl. It's carved out of a single piece of stone, and it was Nero's bathtub. It's called the Porphyry, and it's Nero's red porphyry bowl. And you can look it up on the internet. It says red porphyry bowl from Nero's Domus Aurea. Okay, you can probably just type in Nero's red porphyry bowl. It's porphyry spelled Porphyry. Now, when you look this up, you hear it's his bathtub. Well, it was used for more than that. Oftentimes they would fill it with blood, and he would bathe in it that way, and they would have orgies in it. All these people, he would invite all these people, or sometimes animals, into this bowl and do these really nasty things. Well, that's kind of what the MSM does. They jump into this orgy bowl, all for the same reason, and they all have the same talking points. Well, this last week, of course, we heard that Donald Trump had made some progress with North Korea. And that became a pretty big deal. And then all of a sudden, I don't know why I keep forgetting this lady's name. Daniels. What the heck is her name? Anyway, I can't believe I've lost it here. Stormy Daniels, apparently some porn star. She's pretty. I saw a picture of her. At least she used to be. I don't know if that's a current picture, but at any rate, apparently there's some things going on here that are kind of troubling on both sides. First of all, again, I want to say I don't hold Donald Trump as an evil man because of his attraction to women. His private affairs are his business, and I apparently from the information here, he was married to Melania at the time. But that's, again, you people, so many people are sticking their noses in business that really doesn't concern them. So I'm not bringing that up for that reason. I'm bringing it up for another reason, and that is that we're having a problem. Oh yeah, what? Oh, that changed. Yeah. Well, my dentist has put me off for another hour and a half on Monday. That's not good. Okay, so you have this situation with North Korea where he comes out and he says he's going to talk with them, and that they're probably going to put their nukes aside and all that. And so the mainstream media is starting to give a little information on that. Well, then this Stormy Daniels thing breaks, and this is the problem with this, of course, if you haven't looked into it, is that where this whole thing blew up was during the campaign. I guess it was just prior to the election. Donald Trump's personal attorney in the Trump Tower, I guess it was the Trump Tower, apparently sent an email to Stormy Daniels and explained that he was sending a $130,000 check because Stormy had made these allegations that Trump and her had this affair 10 years before or something like that. Well, of course, the media jumps right on that. Now that becomes not even a counter to the North Korea story, but just a massive attack on President Trump. Well, there is a problem with the North Korea story, and that is that North Korea has asked for these negotiations for some time. This isn't a new thing. And apparently they never have said that they would be willing to give up their nuclear capability. But that's if you believe, everything in the mainstream media, which I don't, of course. But there was a problem with the statement apparently by Trump, and so they're really jumping on it. But let's reverse the roles a bit. You know that even with Trump, I hold politicians' feet to the fire. I hold political leaders' feet to the fire. I hold government bureaucrats, even in the DOD, etc. I hold their feet to the fire. So just because I come down on Trump on this doesn't mean I'm anti-Trump. Okay? Quite the opposite. I love the guy so much that I want him to succeed, but he has to be aware, of some of these things. And he probably is anyway. Who are you? Right to tell him? Well, it's my program. He can listen to it, or he doesn't have to, and I'm sure he doesn't. But at any rate, so this whole thing with North Korea is a problem. As far as what the real actual situation was. And the mainstream media, rather than really lending a hand to Trump on that and on this affair thing, they come down hard on him. Let's reverse the roles, like I said, and let's say it's Obama. And that pointing at somebody else doesn't make misconduct right, if that's even what it is. Okay, I'm not sure that either of these things fall in that category, but the point is that in Obama's situation, they gave him a clean slate. They never came against him on anything. He even claimed that there were no scandals during his administration, which he must have Alzheimer's disease, or was using too much crack or LSD or something. I don't know. But the point is that you can tell that the MSM and the IC, which runs the MSM, is after Trump, which really means they're after us. They're trying to corral us. And when I say us, I mean, of course, Christians. We see this war on Christians starting up again, even in our own country. And, as you all know, I'm not a traditional Christian as most people would define it. I look at it quite a bit differently than most, and I often lose friends over it and people that are dear to me because I don't bow down to their dogma like I'm supposed to, right? I'm supposed to bow down to their dogma. But at any rate, so they gave Obama all these passes, even assisted him in covering up these things, but on Trump they come after him. To me, what that says is that Trump is what he says he is. He's stumbling around a little bit, like that statement on seizing the weapons before due process. And I know people are saying, even Mike Cernovich said, well, he's running a game on the media. But Cernovich also said Trump expects you to run game on him, right? Which is what I do. Okay, I call him out. I do that. But I'm going to say it here again. I've said it several times. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights are not to be gamed with. Those are inviolate, okay? To go there, I don't care what you think you're doing. I don't care who does it, Trump or Obama. You mess with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and it's wrong. You don't use that except to honor to honor it, because that's the people's protection against tyranny. That's the law that holds the government down in chains to prevent them from doing all the things they're doing because the Constitution is being ignored. So I will get upset with someone, I don't care who they are, when they game the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That's just not going to cut it for me. And it shouldn't cut it for you. As much as I love Trump, and I think, if you can't see it, that's the case, I'll give you another example. And I've talked about this before. There was King Saul. Jesse was talking about it the other night. And King Saul was a great man, and God chose him to lead Israel, the kingdom of Israel, because he was a humble guy. And he wasn't even from the tribe of Judah, he was from the tribe of Benjamin. Whoa, what's that about? Because the blessing was that the scepter shall not pass from Judah, nor a lawgiver between his feet until Shiloh comes. Well, what in the world? Right? That's a whole nother topic, and I'm not going to explain that. I don't think if we get to that topic, we won't get in anything else, and I'll probably bore you all to death. The point is that Saul then became jealous of David because he knew that he was going to be the next king. And, David had to run away from him, but David never spoke ill of him. Oh, yeah, he called his feet to the fire a couple times, but he never rose up against the Lord's anointed. Okay? That's not to say that, the prophets weren't calling Saul out. They sure as heck were. But at any rate, so Saul's in this battle, and he gets killed, but he's killed by the enemy. But one of the opportunists, and this is the part that Jesse kind of didn't go to, but I wanted to bring it up here. One of the opportunists came and told David that he killed Saul because he thought that David wanted Saul out of the way so that he'd become king. This guy was thinking as a corrupt politician, as a corrupt man, not with the dignity and integrity of David. And so David said, oh, you're admitting to killing the Lord's anointed? Okay, fine. And he runs him through. He kills him. He kills this guy himself. Whoa, or has him killed. Well, there's a moral to that story, all right? And it's kind of what the MSM, this Orgiasticism, is all about. Because they're doing somewhat the same thing as that guy. Okay? So at any rate, they show who they are. And unfortunately, we have a population inside of which is an electorate that I'm not sure I have a whole lot of confidence in, even though we did pretty well in the last election and really won by a popular vote too, even though that's still denied by the Clintonites and the deep state and others. I think we all know that's a fact. So I guess what I'm saying about all this is that I'm hoping that Trump guards his speech a little more. I like the fact that he can speak out, but I don't consider it all to be gaming, a run game. I don't believe that. I think there are some mistakes here. Not that we all don't make them, But just stay away from the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Okay, don't play with that. And on this thing with North Korea and Stormy Daniels, you know, they all shifted to Stormy Daniels pretty quick. That just shows you that their mind is in the gutter. They're assuming that this I guess she did make the claim that she had this affair with him, but a payoff, even with the Clintons. I mean, the Clintons made payoffs to people that claimed that he raped them, right? And the mainstream media never really went after him for that. So who can you criticize? The people you can't criticize are the ones that are in power, the real power. And that should be a warning to all of us about what's going on here. We're still very vulnerable to the leftist, Marxists, Clintonites, deep state, intelligence community. A lot of people, I'm jumping around here a little bit, but it's all kind of tied in. A lot of we've seen others claim that the CIA strings to North Korea have now been cut. I'm not so sure that's true. Yeah, I'm not sure that's true, especially with North Korea. The prime minister, I think that's what he is, anyway, claimed that you know, they haven't agreed to anything like what the administration was thinking or had said, that it hadn't been vetted yet. So don't jump to these conclusions just because you're told by somebody you trust that things are hokey-dory, because there's usually more to it than that, and this is an example of it. Sessions. Let's talk about Sessions for a minute. I noticed Dr. Corsi had a tweet this morning, and he was quoting a True Pundit article saying that the New York PD was ready to unveil all of this information, including videotapes and other stuff about Hillary Clinton and all of her gang. What the tweet didn't say was that the article was from 2016, and that True Pundit had republished it and then kind of clarified some of the new things that had been happening, but they were very minimal. So what I'm saying about that here is that really nothing is really being done overtly. If that was started in 2016, okay, you know, there was no way that the Obama administration was going to touch it. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. Comey covered it up. And then that's why the New York PD, you know, kind of threatened them, and then all that. But still, that information is not out, and there's more than enough to convict these people, whether it be by a military tribunal or in the regular courts. Now, the whole thing about Sessions right now is he's going after the immigration deal, right? Which is good, but that was always on the table anyway. That's really no big deal. He should be going after a lot of these states that are attacking the Second Amendment. The red flag situation, you know, where you get nervous and you call on your neighbor and the cops come and take the weapons without a warrant, without due process, without any probable cause or even reasonable suspicion. You know, the state of Florida changing the age to where you buy a gun to 21. Still not checking on the pharmaceutical problem. Wow, right? And then there's other states around the country that have banned, you know, semi-automatic sporting firearms that look like military firearms. And because they look scary, they ban them. And they're saying, well, it's the large magazine capacity. Well, you know, the Second Amendment wasn't about hunting or recreational shooting anyway. It's to protect the citizens against tyranny. That's really the ultimate reason, just like the First Amendment. And both of those are being, of course, well, they're being destroyed, is basically what's happening. And I know you all know that. So getting back to Sessions, I put out a thing from Betsy and Thomas on American Intelligence Media the other day, and they did a really, really good explanation and dissection of this whole deal with Sessions. And basically they said everything that I've said, and of course in more detail, that no, I don't trust Sessions. I still don't. One guy, supposedly he's assigned, when Mueller has over 500 attorneys, Now, granted, one guy could have a lot of people working for him, but I don't know about that. So all the people being all thrilled and everything about Sessions apparently now moving ahead, I still don't see it. And so I'm saying, what I said here in the scriptures, by their fruits. I want to see something before I believe it. That's really important. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. As Betsy and Thomas said, Thomas is actually, his other name is Douglas Gabriel. They do these little things. But I have a lot of respect for him. Very intelligent. But, Sessions hasn't really done anything. I mean, a perfect opportunity is for the DOJ to go after these states that are violating the Second Amendment. What's the federal government? I mean, they're not protecting us at all in this onslaught against the Second and the First Amendments. Now, on the First Amendment, of course, we had somebody in the White House who is now, I guess, Trump's campaign manager for 2020, who gave out a warning to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google, etc., that they're being watched. Ladies and gentlemen, they should have already filed the antitrust suits. Now, I realize that apparently 2 attorneys have been assigned to that, and apparently not by Sessions, and yet we're supposed to have all this hope in Sessions. Oh, that's another thing. Somebody said an attack on Sessions is an attack on Trump. Well, Trump attacked Sessions. So is Trump attacking Trump? The logic that comes from some of these trolls are just amazing to me. I can't believe it. No, an attack on Sessions is not an attack on Trump. That's ridiculous. Oh, but the reason is because there's a letter out there that's saying such, right? Yeah. So everybody starts parroting that because trust Sessions. No, I don't trust Sessions. And until I see something on the ground. He could prove me wrong tomorrow. But that's what I'm asking for. Let's see proof, Sessions. Get the fruit on the ground. Let's see it. When that happens, I'll say, okay. I'll eat my words. But until then, he's an enemy. He is a guerrilla. He's an enemy infiltrator disguised as a conservative Republican Christian. And I'm not so sure he is. Or if he was at one time, he's certainly not showing it at this point. And even Trump has accused him of not doing his job. So again, you attack Sessions, you're attacking Trump. Trump attacked himself. How absurd. Okay. All right. So we talked about Dr. Corsi, the porphyry. All right. Let's talk about... I noticed on Drudge this morning. Remember, I've been talking about the possibility that there would be a new pandemic sometime soon. 3/11 is tomorrow. That's an Illuminati number. We've talked about it before. And, little minor things have been happening. There was an event that happened in Houston, some gas release in the school system there, which kind of went along with the drill that they did just a few days before. Apparently the agent or whatever it was, it could have just been, natural gas. I don't know. But the point is that it wasn't successful. Thank goodness. But a lot of these agents are what I've explained, non-persistent. They don't stick around. And so who knows? Maybe it became unstable in the vent system or whatever. I'm not sure. But we did have something happen in Houston as we anticipated. It just wasn't as massive as we thought. But the 3/11 thing could still happen. The March whole deal could still happen. We hope not. I hope Trump is out there, countering all of this. But considering the fact that everybody at one time says, Trump has everybody against him, he can't get anything done. And then on the other side say, Trump's going to arrest all of the traitors and all of this. You can't have it both ways, ladies and gentlemen. He's either in charge or he isn't. You could say, well, he's got the military. Okay, well, I agree with that. But that's what I'm saying. We've got to see it. So getting back on this thing with the big event, and I'm not talking about the financial reset, although that's certainly a possibility too. I mean, there's so many things happening right now. I noticed on Drudge this morning that they're talking about the disease X. And I went, that's a pandemic threat. And I went, what the heck? Because, we had the CDC doctor missing, and we know that they would certainly like to release something like that. flu epidemic or something. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what the heck is this? So did any of you look at this? Disease X. I'm thinking that it's some crazy disease that they found that, is the way the article was first written, like it's charging through the population, it's going to kill millions and all this. And then I find out, no, that's not what it is at all. This disease X is a postulate by the World Health Organization of the possibility of a disease coming along at some time, not from human sources, but the humans pick it up, and then it'll spread. I mean, you know what it is? It's the CDC computer model. That's what they're talking about. There is no disease X. See how they play these games? Their own computer model, and then they send out this thing and Drudge, rightly, gives information on it, but it just shows you, how these things work. That's not to say that there can't be a pandemic from anthrax or any number of other biochemicals, weapons, because that's certainly part of the plan, the spraying that we see and people getting sick. Poor Pam Jones from the Wi-Fi, the medical people have made fun of her, but I have no doubt that it's happening. I have another friend that's having ear problems because they just installed 5G in their area, out in the rural area, and he's never had these ear problems before, and bam, they show up right after the 5G was put in. Circumstantial evidence? Hey, you can send people to prison on circumstantial evidence. Government's doing this, I'm telling you. This is bad stuff. Combined with the nanotech, the wet works, all that we've talked about before, the chipping and all of that. So what I'm saying is that this is not, there's no disease X out there. But it's like they're prepping. They're kind of telling us what they're going to do. Remember, the Illuminati, the evil side, tells you what they're going to do before they do it. And I could name a whole lot of things, even currently, that are happening that might actually fall in that category and not in a category of just informing us. There are some real problems going on here. But I'm not going to go there. You get your information from where you want it. I'll get mine from where I want to. Okay? And that doesn't mean I'm anti-Trump. Okay? All right. So anyway, that's the story on this disease X. Interesting. Just keep that in mind. They're signaling that they're going to try to do something. I do believe that. Okay. Great news. Trump pardoned the submariner who took pictures of the engine room in the submarine. Which is actually just a violation of the confidential level of classification. And rightly so that he should have been pardoned. His intent wasn't there. If intent wasn't to be applied to Clinton, it certainly shouldn't have been applied to him. Again, Clinton is one of the first one was the Bundys getting released, as all of you know. The second is that Clinton and her entourage, her support structure has to go down. And we still haven't seen that happen. And we can make all kinds of excuses as to why. Okay, that it's being done on the side or whatever. I've heard it all. No, I don't buy any of that. If Trump has the power to do that, and you say it, I said this a few minutes ago, if he has the power to do that, but he doesn't have the power to get the other things done that he wants, it's all BS, ladies and gentlemen, because that's just not the case. Okay, with the exception of the military. That is the exception. The deal on the tariff. Oh, wow. This was a mind spinner. Did any of you watch KrisAnne Hall, the constitutional lawyer? She got involved with Bundys and up at the Oregon situation. She gives lectures and all that. And, I've praised Donald Trump for his efforts to protect America's steel, with this new tariff thing and all that. I guess I didn't read it far enough down. Apparently, and I still might be mistaken on this, but this is from KrisAnne Hall, is he going to do this with an executive order using the idea that we're under this national emergency? Is that how he's going to do it? I agree with the tariff structure that he's proposing. Well, who under the Constitution is responsible for taxes, tariffs, and those types of things? Who is that? What part of the government is that? The president? No, the Congress. Oh, but the Congress doesn't do their job and they're opposed to Trump. Oh, now wait a minute. Do we really want to go down this slippery slope? Because we like the guy that's in the office right now, like the Dems and the leftists liked Obama when he was in office, so we'll give this guy, free reign because of that. That is a cult. That is the cult of personality. That's not law. The law says that the Congress has to do it. Yeah, they may not. They may not. Then the problem is on them. Now, I don't know what the legal aspects are with this national emergency situation. People are going to say, oh, no, that gives him all the authority in the world. Well, Christian Hall doesn't seem to think so. So I won't comment on it any more than that. Let me say it again. The idea of protecting America with these tariffs is right spot on, in my opinion. I support Trump 100% on that. However, I question how he will implement it. If he goes around the Constitution, we got a problem. We can't let people get away with this because they're our guy. If for any reason, that should be the reason why we call their hand. And if we fail to do that, we're just going to have ourselves to blame. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, people who went to the camps, they had themselves to blame because they didn't hold their government responsible. They didn't fight back. Just like I said the other day. All right, next, The Hill. Wow. You know about The Hill, right? The magazine, the digital magazine. I think they have a paper type or magazine type too. They actually wrote an article that's quite favorable to Trump, and they've been pretty good actually overall. But I wanted to mention that it came out today, March 10th. You can go look at it. Basically, I liked what it had to say, and they've done this before. But it's nice to see Trump get the respect and the accolades that he does deserve, because he has done a lot. He just needs to make sure he stays on the straight and narrow path. Okay, I've already talked about that. All right, I think we've done everything that I planned on doing. Let me just double check. Yep, I think so. I think we're there. All right, let's turn the chat on and let you guys have a chance to start bantering about. So the chat's been turned on just now. And just so you know, I have to be careful how I speak. So if I'm sounding like I got a lisp or something like that, I do. This one lower right tooth is sensitive even to tongue pressure. I think it's cracked all the way down to the root. So there's an infection in there, and we're trying to treat it. I really don't want to have it pulled with the way it's feeling right now. I'm going to. But, I mean, this isn't going to be good. Scott Anthony wrote me yesterday. He says, gee, Roy, how you feeling? And I said, well, I'm doing this and doing that. He says, well, they call it a hot tooth when it's like that. And it hurts like hell when they pull it for about 20 seconds, but then you get immediate relief. Well, I'm not looking forward to that 20 seconds. Men are babies. Women have a much higher tolerance for pain than men do, and I've said that before. Actually, I could take it just about anywhere else but my teeth and my eyes. I'm sure the CIA made note of that if they rendition me. Okay, Potter's sensitive in his teeth and his eyes. Yeah, probably so. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yeah, there are a lot of these gun control bills that they're trying to sneak through. We've got some great people in the Congress. We've got Nunes, of course, Goodlatte, Gates. There are a lot of really good guys there that are trying their best. And as I've said before, and I might as well say this real quick, we need to have 10 or so senators, Republican good senators, not just doing what they're doing, but organize, get together with some Republican congressmen, say 3 to 4 or 5 times that many, all go to a news conference and call this Mueller BS off, and start threatening people if they don't, because this is just getting too far. This whole thing with now looking at the United Arab Emirates, which I discussed the other day. I told you this wasn't going away. You know, when Alex Jones and all those people said, "Oh, they've exonerated Trump," I said, "No, that's not what they've done here," and I was right. No, they're still after him, and you know, those Republicans need to start supporting him much better than they are. That's that's an absolute necessity. You notice what they're doing as well, right? They're going after the guns under the carpet in the states, in the cities. They're telling the feds that no, they're not going to allow ICE to pick up illegal aliens. You know, blatant violations of law, right? They need to go to jail. Take a person's weapons without due process, constitutional due process, not some arbitrary law about raising the age in a state that violates the federal law. You know, it's a catch-22. Because I've complained about federal law myself, the BLM situation in the Bundy Ranch. But see, they want to make what's legal right and what's illegal. Let me rephrase that. They want to make what's legal look like it's moral, and they want to make what is illegal look like it's immoral. And it isn't. You know, oftentimes it's just the opposite, and it's the way that they play games with us, and it's a dangerous thing. Yeah, it'll screw veterans. Yeah. So, Trump wants to support veterans. Well, you know, he needs to, and I imagine he's going to fight this, but after saying what he said that day about the Second Amendment, take the guns first, man, he just opened the door wide. Look, the president even supports this. You can't use the Constitution and the Bill of Rights as a negotiation or a run game. Inviolate. Yeah, somebody says, please be careful. The corrupted FBI are not your friends. Absolutely they're not. The FBI is a corrupt criminal organization protection racket for the elites. That's what that is. It's been that way for a long time, but it's the worst it's ever been right now. And they go after people like Trump who threaten their power. They're part of the IC. Like I said, the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. And Trump. I wish he had the power to go in and take care of that right now. And again, I think with the Marines he does. As a matter of fact, Steve Motley and I talked about this when we did our live broadcast, just he and I. We may have mentioned on BP Earthwatch too. You know that the Marines are you know, they're probably pretty much all in the arena of Trump. I suspect that's the case. I'm very suspicious of anybody 06 and above that Obama did not purge, because that tells me that Obama approved of them in some way. I'm going to put that aside for right now. I think the Marines are behind Trump. They probably were the guys, along with General Flynn, that came to Trump and said, we need to save the country. And Trump, again, as I've said before, like the real Jesus, who was an architect and was from a family of very wealthy architects. A lot of people say, no, I wasn't. He was born in a manger. You know, the fact of the matter is he gave up his very good life in order to become a teacher and try to restore ancient Israel, try to save it. Just like, and I have to admit it, that Donald Trump gave up his life to try to save this country. But, you know, you do get, I wouldn't want to say disenchanted, but it is easy to get depressed. It is easy to feel like, why am I even trying? I even feel that way sometimes with, you know, the trolls would go, oh yeah, we're getting to Potter. Yeah, we're getting to Potter. Well, if you weren't getting to me at some level, I wouldn't be human. Okay, I wouldn't have a sense of justice or right and wrong. So I understand that Trump probably feels sometimes like, I might as well just go along with this part of the program, part of his art of the deal thing. Okay, maybe, but I'm sure it's at other times he's thinking, what in the hell did I get myself into? So for that reason, I have a great deal of love for him that he keeps going. And look how amazing he is. He just keeps hammering at it. You know, they block him here, and like a good military commander, he just shifts his forces and his fires and goes another direction. He actually is a master at that. I'll agree. Okay, I'll agree with that. Now I'm getting off of you guys here. Let's see what you have to say. Please unblock Demon Thack from your Twitter. I want to get your tweets. I don't think I've blocked that person. Now, you got to understand, Twitter is playing this game, not me. I went on a blocking spree about 2 weeks ago because I got tired of people making the accusations that I was a deep stater. I'd addressed it many, many times, and finally I just figured, you know what? They're just taking up other people's time here who have a right to come and make their comments. I'm just getting rid of them. And I think I probably did 20. I think over my entire YouTube and Twitter career, I've probably blocked 20 people is all, maybe 25, I don't know. But I don't recognize that one, okay? Yeah, Marxists are in charge of South Africa. Oh, it's okay to kill whites there now because they're landowners. There's a war on whites. There's a war on Christians. I said it, and I'll say it all the time. There are documents from the middle 1800s. Jesse got into one of them on his program the other night from Albert Pike, talking about that very thing, about killing Christians, eliminating them, and the white race, with the exception of the very elite at the top, because they know. As a matter of fact, let me say this. This is important. There are several DNA companies that you can go to find out your ancestry and all that. I'm going to tie this in. I think this is important. We had the Waco situation under Clinton, right? They killed all those men, women, and children in Waco. They made up a story about, what they were doing legally with guns, but they made up a story, and then they did some other stuff just so they could go kill those people, and that's exactly what it was about. It was because, and I said this before several years ago, they looked at David Koresh, and they said he's too, everything he's doing is too close to the real deal. So we need to get rid of him. And that's what they did. Now, with the DNA situation today, I think, especially, I don't want to name the company. I don't think that would be wise for me to do. But there is let's say, a very wealthy family whose wife, a very, very wealthy, powerful man whose wife has opened up this DNA company. And there's not just one, there's several of them that follow this line. And they're mapping the population. They're looking. They're not just doing it to help you find out your ancestry. That's the storyline. What they're really after is they're identifying God's seed. They're identifying those who do not have the seed of the evil one in them. And thus they can tell that by the DNA. Remember, first chapter of Genesis? God said it, not me. Talking to the serpent, I will put enmity between your seed and the seed of the woman. However you feel about sex and all that, sorry folks, grow up. There is an evil seed, an evil DNA, and depending upon how much of that you have in you, is identifying you, and that's what they're doing. They want to know where the God seed is because they want to purge it. So be careful of those organizations. Pike, what do you make of his letter to G? That's the one I'm talking about. That's the letter. Now, a lot of people say that it's not legitimate, but that doesn't matter because you can get the information by reading his other works. And Aleister Crowley's works. You can get all of that information without having to rely on that letter. The letter is just very succinct, but good for pointing that out. By the way, you're probably wondering what this thing is behind me. Let me I want to show you this, because let me tell you about it because I think it's kind of funny. I was watching Lionel Nation one day, and Lionel, he's like me. He kind of goes off on these. He pulls all this stuff in from it. He's extremely entertaining, extremely intelligent. I just love him to death. I think he's great. But at any rate, I noticed he had this caricature art of him in the background. And then I remember, I said, I've got one of those from back in my Army career. So let me see if I can show you this. I don't know how well you can see it, but I put it up just so that we could have a little fun with it, okay? All right. Can you all see that? I know you can't see the details, but let me tell you the story behind this. So I was a first lieutenant. I'd been assigned to Tooele Army Depot for a number of reasons, subsequent to some other assignments, and it had to do with the chemical surety program. Do all you know what that means? The personnel reliability program and the classification, the security clearances you have for that. All right. All these people are saying, you never had a security classification. Yeah, you never did this. You never did that. Whatever. Well, as I was getting ready to leave the depot to go work for Murray Police Department, the staff provost marshal whom I worked for, there was a staff provost marshal over all of the depot complex, which was like 5 depots around the western United States, Tooele being the largest, with the largest chemical weapons storage area in the world. But anyway, then each depot, there was a depot or a staff PM that was over all of them. Then there were individual PMs over each of the different depots, and I was over Tooele. Well, at any rate, so I'm getting ready to leave, and the graphic artist there, who we had become friends, he did this for me as a going away present. Not a bad caricature of me at the time. That's actually pretty good. I always got told about the romantic droopy eyes, the romantic eyes. That's usually what people say when they look at this. But these are some of the different things that happened at Tooele when I was there. So I'll just start at the top. Some of you know about the bomb hoax, and there were people in the who were trying to say that I was responsible for it, and that I had conducted this thing. I was the hoaxer and all that. No. As a matter of fact, I had to testify against the commanding officer of the depot for his abuse of power in this situation. It was the first false flag I saw. But that's what this one is here, and the caption, if you can't read it, says, "What do you mean I don't know anything about explosives?" Because we had found this false bomb on the igloo door. Now the story is I came to work one morning, and I got there early, about 6:30, and about 7:15 or 7:30 we had a big construction project going on in the south area to upgrade the JSIDs. Those are the intrusion detection systems. The seals for the igloos to keep agent inside. Reinforcement on the igloos. Seems like it was a multi-million-dollar project. And I get this the desk sergeant comes and says, "Sir, they found an explosive device on an igloo door in Area 9 or wherever it was." So I went down there and got there, and I met this lieutenant right here. He was a lieutenant over the federal police. And he and I are looking at all this, trying to figure out what it is. And I was an electrician as a kid. I didn't know anything about bombs at this point. But I did know something about electrical wiring. And I'm looking at this thing saying, this doesn't look right. So we actually went all around the igloo looking at it from different angles. And I finally determined that it was just a hoax. So basically, the bottom line story is we go up, we talk to the construction foreman. And I ask him if he knows anything about it. He says he does. He brings over the electrical foreman who says he does. They bring over an electrician who admits to putting this up. He didn't like one of the federal police officers. So when this federal police officer was driving by, he was going to say, "Look, guy, I'm going to blow up your igloo." And I said, that's really stupid, because these guys carry fully automatic M16s, M60 machine guns, grenade launchers. He could have blown you so full of holes you'd be like Swiss cheese. Anyway, we arrested the guy. The bottom line on this is that the commander, after we took the pictures, we gathered the evidence. I called up to the EOC. Said this was about 9:30, and I said, "We've arrested the perpetrators. It's a hoax. The bomb is a hoax bomb. It's not real. It's a fake bomb. You can let the construction workers back in the area. It's all over with." Well, the commander. This is why it was called testify against him. The commander calls me up on the radio and he says, "Lieutenant Potter, put the bomb back on the door. We're going to play this to the hilt." Those were his exact words. I was dumbfounded. So I go, some people say, well, that doesn't take much for you. But anyway, so I go up to the Emergency Operations Center because I want to talk to him and say, what the heck's this about? He had already called, after he knew the bomb was a hoax, he called the EOD, the Explosive Ordnance Disposal from Fort Douglas, to come all the way out to Tooele. He had a full, it was being covered in the news as a big event, you know, that, oh, Tooele Army Depot was under attack, all this bullshit. And it was a false flag at that point. Well, I just said, you know, I went to the staff PM. I said, I want nothing to do with this. I'm out. I'm headed back to the North area. Yeah, I did that. I actually did that because the commander wouldn't even talk to me. He was in the EOC. He looked at me, scowled at me, and I said, nah, I don't need this. So I just checked out. Well, what happened was the commander kept the depot closed all day. He could have closed. He could have opened it at 9:30 and let the contractors go back to work. He didn't do that. He kept it closed all day, and then he tried to sue the contractors for the downtime for the whole day. And I was called in as a witness that we had actually solved it prior to that. And then the news even went to this colonel and said, who was on the Brigadier General's list, and said, gee, why did you tell Colonel or Lieutenant Potter to put that bomb back on the door? You know what his response was? Can you believe this? This was his response. It's in the news. Lieutenant Potter did a very brave thing. Yeah, because you ordered him to put the bomb back on the door, which, by the way, I didn't do. I think somebody else did. It wasn't me. So that's the story behind that. This one over here, hey boy, where's headquarters building? I guess I looked a little young in those days, and Governor Matheson at the time was coming out to visit the depot commander. And they came into where my office was, and the driver, you know, as I'm walking along, I'm in uniform, right? I was in my what's called the fatigue uniform in those days. And that's what he said. He said, hey, boy. He calls it, hey, boy, come here. Well, where's headquarters building? An officer in the Army, and they're calling me a boy. Oh, well. This one here, we changed uniforms for the security force. We went to like a jumpsuit because we felt that it would be better for what they were doing. And one of the ladies who worked there, they purposely did this to me. They wanted to know where they were going to put the name tag on the... You know, they couldn't bring a guy in for this. This was all set up. So they bring her in, and she was quite voluptuous. And you know, they said, the staff PM was there, and he says, yeah, Lieutenant Potter, you know, see where you want to put that name tag. And they all knew about me, you know, how I am. And so, you know, I was sweating. I just couldn't, and, you know, I'm trying to put it down low. I'm trying not to, you know, and the colonel, he says, Lieutenant Potter, that name tag goes a little higher. So that's what that's about. That was a big joke for a long time. This was my secretary, and I have the worst handwriting in the world, and so this is to talk about, good Lord, it is Lieutenant Potter's signature, just to show how bad my handwriting is. And then this is just to show all the different things I was in charge of here. Typical day with all the stuff that I had to do. So that's the caricature. I thought you'd like to know what that is. I should have talked about that at the beginning so you weren't sidetracked wondering what the heck that thing was, but that's the story behind it. I hope you enjoyed that. It's really, yeah, it's just one of the things. Okay, let's get back to the chat. We've been going for over an hour. I won't keep you much longer. Let me see if there's anything on here I really need to get. Pam Jones for Liberty. Roy, I need to go public as a target and I'm under attack. Okay, yeah. We've talked about this on Twitter. Pam Jones has suffered from a direct attack by possibly 5G or Wi-Fi or directed energy weapons of some type. She's very ill. She's the one that's been very active in the chemtrail stratospheric aerosol injection counter program, trying to reveal what's going on. And because of her outspokenness, she has been threatened many, many times. And she ended up in the hospital this week because of that. And I understand the medical personnel thought she was kidding them because she was saying it was from 5G. But her little ways of verifying that were very true. I think, again, circumstantial evidence, people go to prison in circumstantial evidence. And I think that she's shown that she has been attacked by these microwaves and mini waves that Betsy and Thomas have talked about as well. So, yeah, go to PamJonesForLiberty.com on the web, on YouTube. It's Pam Jones for Liberty. And on Twitter, it's Pam Jones for Liberty as well. And just see what she has to say and be aware that she has been targeted, as a lot of us have. You know, I wasn't too much into this at first many years ago when I heard about it. Not that I didn't know it couldn't happen, but I just didn't see the reason Well, unfortunately, this is becoming more and more commonplace, and a lot of people, like a lot of us, are having these problems of different types, and they are directed at us. So they are doing targeted. They are after targeted individuals. I'm not even going to talk about Tim Holmes, Seth. The attorney that he was accusing of some things has retorted, and it's her deal. I'll just say this, that I haven't attacked Timothy. We've protected ourselves. He jumps to too many conclusions, and he points the finger at people. You can't do that kind of stuff. So this attorney filed charges against him, and I don't know all the details. You can go look it up. But what should I say here? I'll tell you what. You make up your own minds. If you want to go listen to them and all the people that support him, have at it. I'm not saying he hasn't done some good work, but as far as I'm concerned, a lot of the fruits that he has are detestable. And so you go do what you want. I don't pay any attention to him. Okay. Wade, First Lieutenant conducts a bomb investigation called BS. You don't know anything. You can go back and look it up in the Deseret News, the Salt Lake Tribune, and all those at the time. Absolutely, I did. Yeah, that's why I turn off the chat. You get these buttholes that don't know anything. Protective custody. Well, that's what he's saying. This attorney's saying that's BS. That there isn't a federal government organization that would offer him protective custody. So I don't know, but you guys go look at it. Like I said, I don't care about that. I know there's a real pedophile problem out there. I've been on it many, many years. I've talked about my association with the Franklin cover-up. I could tell you some other things which I'm not going to. High up ecclesiastical and government officials that I actually have seen the evidence on. Okay, I can tell you about all that, and that some of it has been destroyed. Yeah, not by me. But because we were trying to get it. Pedophilia is a problem. God bless Craig Sawyer. They are making arrests because of Craig Sawyer's great work. All right? Craig Sawyer and the Vets for Child Rescue is a decent organization. It's actually doing something. And you all need to go to Craig Sawyer, just as Steve Motley said the other day, and give him your support. Because if there's any war that you can have a good feeling about, and there are a few, most wars are horrible, that one is noble and honorable. So go help Craig Sawyer and pay attention to what he talks about. They just made a bunch of arrests here. I guess it was about a week ago or so, and they're forging ahead. And this thing is cascading, going up the chain. They're doing more work than Jeff Sessions does. Ask yourself why that is. Why is it that people like Craig Sawyer, Matt Bracken, any number of us, I could name a whole bunch of people, Jake Morphonios, Shepard Ambulis, Jordan Sather, Isaac Green, Tracy Beans, Scott Anthony, and there are a lot more. Those are just the ones that I deal with quite a bit. How is it that they can find out this information, but Jeff Sessions either doesn't find out about it or doesn't do anything about it? Craig Sawyer is doing something about it. I like Lieutenant Colonel Poverty, but his chat sure attracts a lot of dirtbag trolls and lunatic know-it-alls. Which is why, I started doing the live streams a little bit more because I thought it was a little more interactive. I should probably go back to my doing all recorded videos so that this doesn't happen. But like I said, today especially I decided to do it because I'm going to be unable to talk for at least a week or two. How can you protect against 5G? I put out a video again from Betsy and Thomas a few weeks back. Go to American Intelligence Media. You can also go to Mike Adams. Well, no, they took him down. Or is he back up now? I'm not sure. There is a specific carbon molecule that is very good at deflecting, at absorbing, at making the 5G and all of those mini waves and microwaves less of a problem. And that carbon molecule is evident also in stainless steel, like this. All right, you can put stainless steel necklace on you. You have to make sure it's stainless steel. You can wear stainless steel watches. It doesn't totally deflect it, but it reduces the effects to some extent. And I'll just tell you, it works. Of course, this might have something to do with it too, all right? That's possible. Okay. Yeah, Mike Adams has a website, Natural News, but they did take it down. I don't know how he's doing there. I haven't checked it. I'm sure Scott would vouch for me. I've tried to make contact with you in past. I've failed to do so. I think it would be mutually beneficial for us both. I don't make contact with people on the web, okay? And there's a reason for that. I've gotten more than one virus from doing that. So you're probably not going to, there are a few times I've agreed to emails, but I never open up attachments. It just wouldn't do you any good. If you want to get a hold of me, go to the YouTube channel and go into the private messages and leave me a message there on my YouTube channel. I don't even check that as often as I should, but I'm not gonna open up communications. The few times I've done that, I've regretted it. Almost every single time. It's really pathetic. People aren't who they say they are, but they'll accuse me of not being who I say I am. I just, I'm done with it. I don't need that. I talked about here a while back. Boy, we're getting into some personal stuff here. I talked about a little bit a while ago about, I was starting to try to start up my social life again. For a lot of reasons. I've kind of let that deteriorate because of all the things that have happened, and I won't get into details, but there were a lot of people on the web, on YouTube, on Twitter that contacted me in one way or another, and I thought, I'll give it a try. And in each case, I regretted it. In each case. So no, I don't deal with you on there. This is where we're going to deal with you in the chat room. Say all the things you want to here. If you think that it's something so secretive or so horrible that you can't talk about it here, well, you're making a mistake. Okay, put it up in the chat room. Get it going. Make a YouTube channel of your own and get it out there. I'm not the only guy that should be doing this, right? Or Jordan Sather or Alex Jones or Mike Adams or da-da-da-da-da. Do your own. Do some of this on your own. But no, I'm not going to have any more contact with anybody on the web. I'm just not going to do it. Not personal. Okay, anything else going on here? I'm looking to see if there's any comments from Scott Anthony and some of you too. Civilian law, not now, just military law per executive order. Yes, that's true. The executive order of December 21st and then the other one that we had on March 1st, yeah, we're pretty well set up for military law at this point, and I've called for that for a long time. I don't want to go there, but the system is so corrupt there's no way around it. I'm just waiting to see it happen. That's another reason why I don't have a whole lot of faith in Jeff Sessions, because Jeff Sessions will have nothing or very little to do with the military tribunals because we can't trust him. And yet, if we attack Sessions, we're attacking Trump. No, we're not. Or Trump would be attacking himself. Okay. Wi-Fi eyes. Wear sunglasses. Well, yeah, probably, but I'm not so sure that would actually protect you, but, okay. By the way, yeah, I refuse to be wetware and wet works and all that. Yeah, and you've got to take some positive steps. The stainless steel is one. Drinking, and Mike Adams talks about this as well as Betsy and Thomas, using a drink that has some of this carbon in it. You can do that as well. Carbon 60, yeah, I think that's the one. Okay. Why keep regurgitating the same crap? Just for that reason. In the military, when I was an instructor several times, and the Army says to teach like this: you tell people what you're going to tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. Repetition is one of the best ways to learn. I suggest you go to school again, maybe learn that. I'm just addressing somebody who said that I address the same crap all the time. No, I don't. There are some things I touch over and over again, but and I've talked about in several videos that I ought to stop talking about anything because I can apply the same principles all the time on almost every situation. So it's almost more important to talk to the principles that the enemy is using, the way that they do things. But that's kind of boring. I mean, I'm willing to do it if you guys don't want me to do this anymore. I'd be happy to say, okay, these are the things the enemy does. These are the general marching orders, the talking points and the objectives. There are probably maybe 24 of them. That's all you need to know by. I could do that. I certainly could. Okay. Somebody's saying here, and this. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Fierce 1269 says it could be military law against all of the patriot and gun owners if Trump failed. Military has control over pedophilia at the top, just like everything else. I can't disagree with you. Do you see what he's saying? I'm very suspicious of these 18,000 plus indictments. We don't know who's doing them. That's overkill as far as I'm concerned for Trump to be doing something about all of this. I have a suspicion that yes, those are about gun owners, vets, conservatives, Christians that have been identified by the deep state. I'll just tell you that right now, okay? I think I've alluded to it a couple of other times, but I do have some circumstantial evidence looking at this whole thing, and I am not satisfied that Trump is behind those 18,000 indictments. I'm not. I think it's a counter operation by the deep state to counter the Second American Revolution. So keep your situational awareness on. Keep your eyes on the horizon and ears to the ground, and make sure that you've got, your alert rosters amongst your friends and allies. Yeah, I'm a little worried about this. I don't like the way it's coming out. Nobody arrested. Oh, we're just waiting until the right time. No. No, this is smelling more like a FEMA camp collection. It does. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want that. I don't want it to be true. But we haven't seen one arrest. John and Tony Podesta seem to be out of the limelight right now for whatever reason. I don't think they're a gitmo. I don't think that's what it is. But Trump still hasn't told us the truth about Las Vegas. He hasn't told us the truth about Florida. That's more important than talking about collecting the firearms and then doing due process. Explaining to the American people what really happened there. Explaining to the American people when he says MSM, he really means the CIA. He just hasn't taken that next step, and we're losing the initiative of this war because of it. And you've heard me say that many, many times. My video shut down when you explained about, oh yeah, no doubt. Somebody says the video shut down was talking about home Seth. Well, I don't want to keep talking about home Seth. But, there are a lot. I said on BP Earthwatch the other night, and I think I said it on Steve Motley's show too. There is a place, a lot of people, I'm not even going to mention who it is. Most of you will know what I'm talking about. There is a place where a lot of people are going to get their information. And it was a good source, as I've said back a few months ago, but now it's kind of touch and go. There's been what apparently is some good things coming out now. And yeah, I'm beating around the bush. But I still don't follow it. And it's obvious that there are a group of people tied into that are the same ones that attack me on YouTube and attack other people. Tracy Beans, Ann Coulter, Jerome Corsi, even though he's so supportive of this thing. And they attack others. And we have more than sufficient reason to believe that they're behind a lot of the information that a lot of people think is good. So I just don't want to go to it any further than that. I really don't think that President Trump or an intelligence team is going to say the kind of things about myself and about Mike Cernovich and about Jack Posobiec and about Tracy Beans and about Jerome Corsi and about anybody who has questions about this intelligence source. They're too, they're not going to be that simple-minded. They're not going to be at that level. They just aren't. And to claim that they are, that they're going to actually address Roy Potter because he doesn't go along with some of this stuff, you really think they're going to do that? You think Trump's going to bend down that low? No. But the people who are behind trying to get the followers that they want would be concerned about it. And some of the attacks that these associates of this intelligence letter have made, that we know are connected to this letter, and the attacks made by some of the people, like the one you just mentioned, are eerily similar. And it's not because they're right. I am no deep stater. Neither is Tracy Beans. Neither is Jerome Corsi. Neither is Jack Posobiec. Neither is Mike Cernovich. No, I'm done with all that, and I've said it before, and I'm just gonna say it again. I'm done with it. Okay, so I'm gonna be like Lieutenant Colonel Schaefer. I'm gonna be like, he never mentions it. Why isn't anybody attacking him? Well, I'm not mentioning it anymore. I've already said what I said. I don't get my information there, and I'm not going to. Go attack Colonel Schaefer for not going there, see what he tells you. He'll probably tell you to stick it where the sun don't shine. Okay. I think we're done. Because the trolls are out in force, as everybody knows. What should I do? Should I leave the chat on for a few minutes? Should I play some music? I don't really know how this works. Will the chat, somebody can tell me here, will the chat keep going if I shut down? Or do I need to leave it running so you guys can talk with each other a little bit more? And I'm willing to let you do that. I'll turn on some background music, and you can do that. Do you want to do that? I'm not going to get into all the House bills and all that. There's so much crazy stuff going on. Just know that your government is still not your friend. The Republicans are not your friend. They're all part of the deep state. They're all part of the Luciferian system, almost to a person. Oh yeah, there's some exceptions. Until we see somebody in handcuffs, you can't believe a thing that's going on. That's the test. Just like I said, there are two canaries in the coal mine. Bundy's being released, and Clinton and her entourage, her substructure. If you don't see that, Hayden's not in jail. Brennan's not in jail. What's his name? The guy that called for killing the president, who used to be the CIA counterintelligence dude. Anyway, they're all doing that. Walking free. No, gotta see it. Gotta see it. Okay. Well, nobody seems to really need the chat room on, so I'll go ahead and turn it off. No, the Bundys are not in jail. They were released. A BLM whistleblower, not Jeff Sessions, who should have gotten him out. A BLM whistleblower showed that the DOJ that Sessions had been so impressed with and said was doing such a good job had in fact violated criminal statutes and judicial requirements in the court case, trying to convict the Bundys falsely. So the judge had to release them with prejudice. Okay, yeah, we're done. Leave chat on, Roy, all good. Well, a lot of people are worried about, watching the program, so maybe I should just go ahead and do that. And I've got some other things to do. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I appreciate all your time. Yeah, we've been going for an hour and a half. Yeah, if you don't like the talk, if you don't want the chat that I do, don't come. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm good with it. I'm here for the people that want to do this. And if you don't want to, nobody's got chains on you. Nobody's telling you to put a gun to your head that you have to do it. Just go somewhere else. All right? Go listen to Lionel. You think I'm bad? Go listen to Lionel. And I love listening to Lionel. So, you know, so what? Thanks, everybody, for coming. God bless you. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And God bless Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. It's 3/11 tomorrow. I don't know, but we got to keep an eye on this, okay? They're telling us what they're going to do at some point because they're under that curse. They have to tell us what they're going to do before they do it. So just keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears to the ground. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Out here.